Hello. Hello. Well, one thing for sure, winter has arrived here. Look at all the snow that we got overnight. It's kind of funny considering just a few days ago we had rain. So yes, this looks like winter has finally arrived on PEI. I think today I'm going to finish the last part I was talking about, the civil socialist movement that was happening, and I'm going to talk about the whole identity politics. In some ways, identity politics has been happening for a long time. And there was indeed people, feminist movement, who did saw the liberation of them not just being stuck within the home. They want to have the right to vote. There was the whole LGBTQ movement that was happening. It was there. That struggle was always there. And socialists has always supported those struggle. It's going to be really hard to find a socialist who did not support those struggle. They're very, very much intertwined with those movements. Like the whole purpose of socialism, it is about the liberation of the people. That discrimination needs to end. Like you see socialists supporting the abolition of the slave trade, because Karl Marx wrote to Abraham Lincoln, and they had multiple exchange where Marx was saying that ending slavery is a step towards the liberation of the working class, the emancipation of the black people. And socialists has always supported the emancipation of blacks. Like if you look throughout history, and especially the past century, the Black Panthers, the MLK, Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, all the major people who sought the black to be freed, to be able to be self-determined, that they should not be discriminated against. It was them who supported the struggle. And you can say that the core fundamental belief of socialism is to end discrimination. Like the way I like to describe socialism is love thy neighbor as thyself. Don't discriminate other people. Everyone are equal. You should be supporting each other. loving your fellow man. You should not exploiting your fellow man. We are all born equal. So yes, fundamentally, you can say that, and socialists did do so. Like myself, I do support that the LGBTQ right to be able to have marriage, to have the right to not be discriminated against. So yes, and leftism does support abortion. It was always the leftists who supported things like birth controls, the abortion, the right of women to decide, do they want to go to work? Do they want to stay at home mom? Do they want to vote? Do they want to be politicians? Do they want a life outside of the home? They have the ability to decide on who they want to love. So yes, there's this entire mixture of LGBTQ and the struggle for the minority to be able to do their own self-determination, like the ability for the natives to have their own right to do what they want to do without discrimination. Which goes back negative liberties of them be able to do those things without facing repercussion. And one thing in the US, you had segregations, you had the Jim Crow laws, those kind of things that literally were designed to discriminate against black people. Yes, the Jim Crow laws no longer exist. That's beside the point. Jim Crow laws did exist in the past. Segregation did exist in the past. And as I said earlier, MLK, Martin Luther Jr. King, one of the most held black person of the 20th century, he literally classified himself as a socialist. So you have multiple Christians, religious people, who view themselves as socialist. And it is always there. Now, of course, conservatism did not like that. And in Nazi Germany, if I will describe fascism and what is really fascism, is I will say, this is my own personal definition, is, no, before I do that, I'm going to define what is capitalism, and then what is different with fascism, and how fascism is when capitalism is in decay. Okay, so capitalism, at the very foundation, the way I like to describe is like this. It is the enslavement of the working class to the capitalists, and the goal of the capitalists is the accumulation of capital. And capital is like wealth, basically, like more wealth, more in Marxist kind of a capital would be the thing that a capitalist produce, the goods and services, and they want that capital to be in fewer ones. They want to be in charge and control of that resources. And a lot of times when I hear about medical tyranny, or the globalist, or the different issues that the right winger says about capitalism, that is all the result of what a capitalist will do. They want to suppress the voice of other people. They want to control the narrative. That is the entire point of capitalism. They want they are the ones in charge. They are the one who makes all the decision, and you have no voice on how to make those things happen. And they will crush dissent. They will use the power of the state to crush anyone who will go against their narrative. And that is why another thing you're going to hear is from leftists saying that the state and capitalism always go hand to hand. You cannot have capitalism without a state. Now, how do you define a state? This is the $1 million question, because there's different ways you can define it. In a more neutral term, you can define it as a state is a defined boundaries, a defined government, and they are sovereign. But that sovereignty can only be recognized by other sovereign nation. You can also define the power of the state, those who is able to use force to express their will upon other people. Physical force. There's two types of coercion that exist: hard power and soft power. Very. I'm fine. I just slip on ice here. Very icy. As I was saying, Hard power is the ability to use physical force, the ability to reinforce your rules through physical means. One example I like to use is, it is during cattle slavery, the actual slavery, what people think about is you're gonna have somebody putting another, chains on another person, whipping that person to coerce them to do whatever you want. In modern day, the hard power will be the use of government to send the police to crush dissent, to crush the crush protesters, like the police force. Or you can use the right now in Ukraine, Russia is using hard power by sending its military forces in Ukraine to end the conflict in Ukraine. That's hard power. Soft power, it will be indirect coercion. Like if I use the threat of starvation and homelessness to coerce you to do things, like, oh, you want to have a home, and or an apartment, so you can go, or you don't want to starve. We're going to use starvation, homelessness as a way to coerce you to go to job, get a job, to work for us. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get those things that you want. That is soft power. Another way is also often used is sanctions, where a country will sanction other countries as a way to coerce the people to change their behavior. One of our prime example is Cuba, where the US for the past 60 years did an embargo, making that country really poor, not able to get the materials that they need, and to starve the population and all those things, to try to get them to change the political system. And by sanctions never works, and it always backfire. Anyways, that's another topic for another time. So, going back to what I was saying, mandates is, it will classify as a soft power. It's a way to try to coerce people to do what people want them to do. And capitalism requires those kind of force in order to function. And if you look throughout history, the one thing that anthropologists were actually going to tell you, that the concept that trading things between each other was always part of our nature, is actually false. Trading was always a result of the establishment of state. The market is always a result of state. So you can see the importance of state in order to have markets. And if you just think for a second, one of the prime purpose of a state is to establish laws, rules, and regulations. that will to try to control the behavior of people. And the one thing that the people who has lots of wealth, money, power, they are going to use the power of the state to try to reinforce the rules. And it's always and usually a capitalist is more than happy to be at an arm's length from the state. They're still influencing the state. That's where you have oligarchs, the people like billionaires who's going to spend billions of dollars in elections to influence the policies that favors them over the population. However, this is where identity politics gets really entangled. Even though I just previously talked about how leftism and socialism and LGBT struggle, the liberation of natives and all of that, it was a very central belief. It is something that the left did. The capitalists also going to use that as a weapon. One of the prime strategy of capitalists is to create a narrative. In my manufactured consent videos, in one of them I was talking about that there's only a small range of discussion that you're allowed to discuss in a society. Anything outside of that, it is being suppressed. So it's a way to divide people. So they're trying to divide people to control the narrative. And this is where identity politics comes in. You have the conservatives who want to uphold traditional values. So, but you don't want to talk about communism, socialism, anarchism, or anything that's really benefit the worker. You're going to focus on identity politics. So they're going to fund identity politics as a way to distract people from the larger conversation of class struggle. This is why a lot of time leftists will nowadays will say we don't want identity politics. We should focus on class struggle. Because identity politics, it is not being used as a way to fixate the conversation. As a way to control the conversation and divert that attention from what the capitalists are actually doing. So, in a way, if you think about it, The strategy is that you need to keep the conversation away from what they're doing, from their laws, the policies, all the things that they're doing is harmful to the population. So they have to focus on identity politics, and they're going to. And one of the prime things that they develop is a concept of individualism. The concept that it is up to you to change your life. Don't ask to change how the society operates. It is your responsibility. It is your failure if you're not able to achieve what your goals are. And if you blame the society, oh, you are selfish. You're irresponsible. You just seek to be the victimhood. You're the victim. You don't want to take responsibility of your action. So that's another form of identity politics they're using. But of course, that kind of narrative, again, is about distraction from systemic problem. So, another word. This is where capitalism says capitalism in general, they want to create an issue that the people want, the people debate in, and you can't talk outside of that issue. And those two issues, like identity politics and individualism, all that jazz, the typical things that we hear in the news, those are the acceptable issue. But class struggle is not. This is why a lot of time when you look at communist countries like North Korea, like China, like the USSR, like Cuba, they're much more interested of talking about class issues, not identity issues, but class issues. This is why communist parties in Russia, they're not going to talk about identity because you didn't have that entire debate I just described of you need to focus on identity. Yes, there were things that and the USSR was, if I remember correctly, they were the first country in the world who legalized abortion. However, the LGBTQ issues, they were against it. They did suppress those kind of movement. Fidel Castro did oppress the LGBTQ people most of his life. It was not until, like, I think it was the last decade of his life that he came out and said he was wrong on the LGBTQ issues, and for all the atrocities that has happened towards those people in those countries, he took full responsibility for those for the misconducts of the Cuban people towards them. I know Vietnam never criminalized LGBTQ issues, but there's still some movement over there. Like Luna Oil, a Vietnamese YouTuber, talks a lot about Vietnam issues. And in one of her recent videos, she did talk about the LGBTQ struggle, and for her being a bi, what kind of problem that she faced. The one thing that she did say, it was never criminalized. So now, what is fascism? Fascism, it is when identity politics no longer works. Fascism is when the capitalist says we need direct control of the economy, direct control of all political issues. Hi. Adolf Hitler actually described that relationship very well when he talks about chaos and order. Chaos for Hitler, it is all about any leftist movement. Communism, anarchism, LGBTQ, Jews, disability people, class struggle, workers' right, anything that is remotely to the left is chaos. And chaos is evil. And chaos needs to be crushed. That's when order comes in. Order. Oh, and by the way, Slav is also part of chaos. Slavic people, Russian people, for Hitler, they were subhuman. And a lot of time, Hitler will equate communism with the Jews. They're going to equate Slavic people with the Jews. And those kind of people are non-white. There is even a science that the Nazis did to determine how white you are. And if you have Slavic people in your lineage, you're considered to be non-white. This is something that a lot of times that the West always omits. They always really just focus on the Jews as the enemy of Hitler. But they failed to mention all the other people that I just described, including like and the disabled workers as subhuman. So the solution for Hitler is order. But so does that mean order reject capitalism? No. Order, you're going to use the power of the state to crush chaos. You want to maintain the capitalist structure, and you want to make sure that the people so in order to maintain order, they're going to use the power of the state. And anyone that they viewed as disrupting order is evil. They're part of chaos. And they want to crush the family, they want to uphold the family unit. They want to uphold capitalism. They want to uphold Western values. But they are going to use the power of the state to do so. So they're no longer pretending that that they're that they're not doing they're not controlling the state. They're directly involved, and they are going to try to force people to unite under a single banner, trying to eliminate the idea that there is such a thing as classes. And the only type of class that they think is nationalism. That you are part of your country. It's all about patriotism, you being patriotic to your country. And everyone has to play their part. Rich and poor, doesn't matter. You are all under the same banner. If you're German, that means you're all the German race. Or you're under the German banner. And anyone who is against Germany, you're the enemy of the state. Just climb over here, right here. Just give me a second. This is where you're going to hear things like, let's make America great again, or let's make Germany great again, or in Ukraine, One Ukraine, one nation, one language. If you're not Ukrainian, you're the enemy of Ukraine. So you're literally trying to rally yourself around national identity. And that is why we say that fascism is when capitalism is in decay. So to recap, to make it very clear, capitalism tries to be an arm's length from the state, pretends that they're not directly involved, and try to divert the issue towards identity politics. You create issues that the population has to fight against. So in many ways, the capitalists will fund both sides of the struggle. So like, they will fund the conservative sides, they're going to fund the progressive sides, as long as they focus on the identity issues. As long you make sure that the people stays within that narrow narrative. While they do whatever they want in a system, you cannot criticize the system, because the main focus is those identity issues, and right now is a fascist like Jordan Peterson will focus on personal responsibility. It is your fault for your failures. Don't criticize the system ever. Fascism, they're no longer pretending that they're at arm's length. They're no longer, they're directly involved, and they're going to post laws and rules and things that literally benefits them. They're literally directly involved in politics and economics and anything like that, and they're going to use the power of states. They're directly using the power of states instead of indirectly. On this, I think I will end the video. Have a good day.